Today's Cowboys Report is made possible by Roan. You can get 20% off your order on their polos and more by going to roan.com/chatsports and using code chatsports. Link will be in the comments and the description, by the way, of today's show, which is about trade rumors we'll get to here in a second. But first, if you haven't already subscribed, help us out. We have a 1 subscriber lead over Giants now in our monthly sub battle. We've already got more subscribers, but that's the competitive disadvantage we have, I suppose. Leads to more views in the end. Let's make sure we kick the Giants' butt. After all, we do own them as a franchise. YouTube.com/@CowboysTV. Some trade rumors I want to get into on today's show. Begin with Alvin Kamara and where things sit. Now, he skipped the final day of Saints minicamp. He showed up and then left. He was unhappy with his current contract. I should say is unhappy with his current contract. Here's how that sits. Kamara is owed $18.55 million on the Saints salary cap. That includes some restructures and stuff. They could have brought that figure down. They did not. There is a reason for that. He's owed just under $12 million in cash in 2024 in base salary, workout, roster bonuses, etc. It's pretty good money. Why is he upset about it? Well, he's owed $25 million next year. That is mostly in base salary. There is a 0% chance the Saints pay him that. It's just not going to happen. So they will cut him next year. No one's going to trade for him with that base salary, by the way. The Saints could cut or trade him now and save $10.48 million. There's not much guaranteed money left. There's short-term big money due. There's no long-term security for Kamara. And he's looking for more security because he plays running back. The spot doesn't have any security anyway. However, there's a reason why the Saints aren't paying him. He has not played that great. His numbers have regressed every single season on the ground. He has not been all that impactful in recent years. His numbers have regressed. And that has also led to some trade rumors out there. Now, it's Fansided who started this one. Alvin Kamara straight up for Brandin Cooks. To be clear, that is a stupid idea. It makes 0 sense for the Cowboys whatsoever. They're paying extra money for a running back who's older. It does not make any sense. It was stupid. The other trade ideas are much more in line with what Fansided said was not great value for Kamara. So why was it Cooks? I don't know. I digress. A 2026 6th-round pick or a 5th and a 7th goes back to the Raiders in the third trade idea. Kind of differing trades. I feel like they act like a future 6th the same as the 5th, which it's not, but whatever. I've got more thoughts on the Alvin Kamara trade idea in general for the Cowboys that doesn't feature Brandin Cooks. Like, would it be a day 3 pick worthwhile? Do you want to make the Cowboys to make that trade? Trade, let's say, one of your 5ths, your comp picks 5ths for Alvin Kamara. Y for yes, N for no in the pinned comment of today's show. It's a no for me, and it's also a no for Dallas because they're not going to pay him $11 million. That's not how the Joneses want to do business, period. Now, if he's cut, different conversation, one we could have. But I'm out because the production hasn't been very good. Yeah, he was a PPR nightmare, 75 catches. It took him 466 yards to get there. 6.2 yards per catch actually isn't very good. It's dropped fairly consistently over the last couple of years. It's had a pretty good 2020 campaign, 2021 campaign. The yards per carry, he's been a sub 4 yard per carry guy the past 3 seasons. The raw numbers are not very good, and the advanced metrics aren't very good either. Success rate, these first couple stats from Summer Sports, all publicly available. 38.3% success rate. It's 34th out of 62 backs. Yards after contact was 1.98. That's 54 out of 62. He's explosive. Well, he used to be. He's not anymore. 5.5%. 44 out of 62. Yards created based on down and distance box front situations, 46 out of 62. And rushing yards over expected, this is a next-gen stats metric, 4th to last. The metrics and my eye test on film, too, say this is a player who is on the decline. Now, if he gets cut, sure, bring him in. That's fine. That's a totally different conversation. Maybe you can recapture some form. But he's an aging back. Those guys typically don't suddenly find a second or third life. Now, today's show was made possible by Roan. Roan, they had a nice little change for the mail clause. It was due for a radical reinvention, and Roan has delivered. They have products for every occasion. Talking about the world's most comfortable pants, dress shirts, quarter zips, polos, and blazers. They look great as individual pieces and also work seamlessly together. Their 4-way stretch fabric is breathable, flexible, and works everywhere from your commute to work to 19th hole. It also has Gold Fusion anti-odor technology for more wears between washes, and also important if you wear it on the golf course as it gets into the 90s around the United States, depending, I guess, on where you're living. It'll be pretty hot this summer. You'll want to make sure you're wearing something that looks good and feels good as well. The Commuter Collection gets you through any workday and straight into whatever comes next. Head to roan.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you go to RHONE.com/chatsports and use code chatsports to find your corner office comfort. Another big name mentioned in trade rumors, this time by Bleacher Report. They pitched, what about Courtland Sutton to Dallas? Not the first time we've talked about this one, so we won't go too far in depth to not repeat stuff again. This was the trade idea. The Cowboys get Sutton, a 6th-round pick in 2026. A conditional day 2 pick goes to Denver, along with a 2025 5th-round pick. What are the conditions? Great question, no idea. They were not mentioned by Bleacher Report. I don't know. Playoffs? Super Bowl? Take your pick, I guess. In the end, this is too rich for my blood. I am not opposed to adding wide receiver help. Like I know many of you guys are also down to get some help in there. Not Courtland Sutton, though. The contract is doable. He's going to make around $14 million, and you probably wouldn't extend him. So then you've got kind of a 1-year rental. You're giving up a day, let's say generously, pick 80. All right, pick 80 you give up. That's probably going to be, in theory, an impactful player for you. For a guy that has gone 4 straight years with no 1,000-yard campaigns. Quarterback play gets some blame. Make no mistake about it. He gives you some size you don't have, but to give up a 3rd-round pick and one of your 5s to get a future 6 and a rental of Sutton, I'm out. I'm down to add receiver help. I'm optimistic about guys like Tolbert and Turpin and Brooks and Flournoy, etc. Sutton would be an instant upgrade. But for all the all-in talk from this organization, it's very clear. They are not all in. They're not. They can gaslight us all they want. They're not all in right now. And trading a 3rd for Sutton would be an extreme departure from what this team has been doing. So name a player who you want to trade for. Who do you want to go out and get? Could be a receiver, a running back, maybe a defensive lineman. Let me know in the comments section right now. Blogging the Boys cooked up a couple of different trade targets that the Cowboys could potentially look to pursue. TJ Slaton of the Packers, Phidarian Mathis of the Commanders, and Siaki Ika of the Browns. We'll spend some time on all of those guys. But I am looking for defensive tackle help because this team is one Osa Odigizua injury away from having no clue how they're going to survive along the defense line. They need help. They do not have enough help on the interior. Not only do they not have enough impact guys, I don't know if they have enough bodies who are serviceable, who are worthy of a 53-man roster spot right now. Might be 5 guys max. So do you want, not including Nealon, by the way, in that. I think he's still playing defense. We put him on there as a hybrid piece. You want to trade for a DT? 1 for yes, 0 for no. Of the guys discussed here, TJ Slaton, by a pretty comfortable margin, has had the most production. That is the former Gator great. He's a nose guard. He's number 3, really, on the Packers' defensive line depth chart. Kenny Clark, maybe they get a long-term deal done. Not so sure on that front. Devontae Wyatt's going to be a long-term piece. Slayton's kind of their one true, bigger, massive, run-stopping nose guard. Might not be as good of a fit in the new Packers' defensive scheme, but most teams want to carry at least one of those guys. Siaki Ika, meanwhile, is a nose guard. Fits the mold of what Mike Zimmer tends to like. And the pitch was, well, the Browns have all these other defensive linemen now. There might not be room for Ika. The Siaki Ika role is still to be a nose guard. So Michael Hall Jr., is not going to push Ika off the roster if they're trying to carry a nose guard. Mike Hall's not even 300 pounds. He's a 3 technique. He might push Mo Hurst off the roster. That might be a decent name to consider calling. Quentin Jefferson, we'll see what happens there. They drafted Juwan Briggs. Okay, Briggs is 310-ish at 6'1". I'm not sure he's really a nose guard either. So I would not be surprised to see the Browns move on from a notable defensive lineman. I don't think it'll end up being Ika. Phidarian Mathis, meanwhile, is a very good name to include. So that's why I put him last. I think he's the most realistic name out there. The Commanders have Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen. They drafted Johnny Newton. They have Cowboy legend John Ridgeway. Are they going to carry 5? If not, Mathis is kind of the bigger nose guard type that doesn't quite fit the Dan Quinn style of defensive tackles. Now, he's not a pure nose. He can do some 3 technique stuff. That'd be the name I'm calling. Maybe even, can we interest you in one of our cornerback depth pieces? Nashawn Wright, Eric Scott. You have a good relationship there with Dan Quinn. Might be worth picking up the phone and making a call.